The entertainment industry froze when Bai Lu made her announcement. It was quiet at first, almost too quiet, like the calm before a storm. Then the words spread faster than anyone could stop them. Bai Lu, one of the most admired actresses of her generation, was walking away from acting. No scandals, no breakdowns, just a sudden decision that sent shockwaves across the entire industry. Her fans refused to believe it. Some thought it was a publicity stunt, others claimed she was preparing for a comeback under a new name. But those who truly knew her said something inside her had changed long before this moment, and this was the final step in a transformation that had been quietly unfolding for years. Behind the cameras, Bai Lu had been living two lives. One, the glamorous actress adored by millions. The other, a woman burdened by exhaustion, loneliness, and the unrelenting pressure of perfection. On set, she smiled brightly and delivered flawless performances, but when the cameras stopped rolling, she would often sit in silence, staring out the window of her trailer, lost in thoughts no one could reach. It began months earlier during the filming of her last drama. The director had called for another emotional scene, one that required her to cry and break down in front of the camera. She did it beautifully, but something about that moment struck her differently. When the scene ended, she didn't stop crying. The crew grew worried, rushing to comfort her, but she simply whispered, "I can't do this anymore." At first, they thought she meant the scene. No one realized she was talking about her entire career. 4 weeks, Bai Lu disappeared from public view. No interviews, no social media posts, nothing. Her fans trended her name online daily, begging for an update. But all that came was silence, until one morning, she appeared again, not on a red carpet, not in a drama trailer, but in a live broadcast that no one expected. She sat in a soft-lit room, dressed simply, her expression calm yet distant. And then she said the words that would echo through every entertainment headline across Asia. "I've given my life to acting, but somewhere along the way, I lost myself. I don't want to perform anymore. I want to live." The chat exploded. Thousands of fans flooded the comments section, some begging her to reconsider, others crying openly as she spoke. She explained how she had spent years chasing perfection, pleasing directors, critics, and fans, all while losing her sense of who she was. She said she had played too many roles and forgotten her own. What stunned everyone was what came next. Bai Lu revealed that she wasn't quitting the industry entirely, she was shifting her focus. She had secretly been working on something new, something deeply personal. A foundation for young artists struggling with anxiety and depression in the entertainment world. Her eyes glistened as she said, "I've seen too many bright souls fade away because they had no one to talk to, no place to breathe. I want to change that." That confession changed everything. Suddenly, her decision didn't feel like a loss, it felt like the start of something greater. Reporters tried to dig deeper, uncovering that she had already spent months meeting with young trainees, visiting art schools, and speaking privately with struggling actors who couldn't find their footing. She was already making a difference before the world even knew. Still, some insiders whispered that there was more behind her decision than she was letting on. They claimed Bai Lu had faced a moment of betrayal on set. A close friend had exposed private details of her personal life, shattering her trust in the people around her. Others said that she had fallen deeply in love with someone outside the industry, someone who made her realize how trapped she had become by fame. Whatever the truth, the impact of her announcement could not be ignored. Fellow actors began sharing emotional tributes, recalling moments when Bai Lu helped them through tough times. Directors who had worked with her described her as not just talented, but profoundly kind, the kind of person who made others feel seen. A week later, Bai Lu was seen again, not in designer clothes, but in simple jeans and a white shirt, helping a group of young students at a small creative workshop. Cameras caught her laughing freely, something fans had not seen in years. The picture went viral overnight. Her fans realized then that this was not the end of Bai Lu's story. It was a rebirth. The actress who once lived under the constant pressure to perform was now living on her own terms, creating change in a world that desperately needed it. In a final interview before stepping fully out of the spotlight, she said softly. For years, I acted to make people feel something. Now, I just want to make them feel hope. Her words lingered like poetry, echoing through every fan's heart. Some say she might return to acting one day. Others believe she has found a new purpose too powerful to let go of. But one thing is certain. Bai Lu's choice didn't just change her life, it changed how the world saw her. She was no longer just an actress. She had become a symbol of strength, freedom, and truth. And as her story continues to spread, one thing remains clear. The world may miss Bai Lu the actress, but it has gained Bai Lu the legend. When Bai Lu disappeared from the cameras after her shocking announcement, the world fell silent. The lights dimmed on the stages she once owned, and the scripts that once defined her were left unopened. But what no one knew was that her silence was not the end of her story, it was the beginning of something that no one expected. For months, the industry whispered her name in confusion. Directors waited, producers hoped, and fans prayed for a sign. Yet Bai Lu stayed hidden, choosing solitude over spotlight, peace over pressure. Somewhere in a quiet coastal town, far from the sound of fame, she sat by her window each night watching the waves rise and fall, remembering the applause that once shook her heart. But her heart was tired now, tired of pretending, tired of smiling when she wanted to cry, tired of being perfect for a world that never cared to know her truth. And then one evening, she picked up her phone, opened her notes app, and began to write something that would later shake the entire industry. It was a confession, raw and unfiltered, meant not for the fans or the media, but for herself. She wrote about the nights she couldn't sleep, the mornings she dreaded, and the silent tears she wiped before going on set. She confessed that fame had given her everything she wanted, but taken everything she needed. Her friends, her peace, her laughter, all lost somewhere between scripts and schedules. She had forgotten what it meant to be real, to live without cameras watching every move. That confession stayed hidden for weeks, saved quietly on her phone, until one fateful day it was leaked by someone close to her team. The internet exploded overnight. The headlines were merciless, yet strangely full of admiration. Bai Lu's secret letter revealed the truth behind her silence. The world read her words, and for the first time, they understood the woman behind the screen. She had written, "I am not leaving because I am broken, I am leaving because I finally found the strength to heal." The statement spread like wildfire. Fans cried, actors called her brave, and within days, her old studio reached out, begging for a final appearance, a goodbye interview that would give closure to millions. After much thought, Bai Lu agreed. She didn't return to defend herself, but to say thank you and goodbye. The interview was set in a quiet garden, with soft music and falling petals surrounding her. When she arrived, wearing a simple white dress with no makeup, the cameras captured something no one had ever seen before, her true self. There was no act, no role, no lines to memorize. Just Bai Lu, speaking from the heart. "I used to believe that acting was my purpose," she said softly, "but I realized my purpose was not just to play characters, it was to live my own story. I forgot that for a long time. I forgot who I was beyond the scripts. I gave everything I had to the world, and when I looked back, I realized I had nothing left for myself." Her voice trembled, but her eyes didn't. She smiled through the silence, and the interviewer didn't interrupt. The nation watched as she spoke about rediscovering simplicity, about walking barefoot on sand instead of red carpets, about finding beauty in small things like laughter, friendship, and quiet mornings. Then came the moment that broke everyone. The interviewer asked her what she missed most about her old life. Bai Lu paused, her eyes glistening with emotion. After a long silence, she replied, "I miss believing that I had to be loved by everyone. Now, I just want to be loved by the right ones." The video went viral across every platform, breaking view records within hours. Clips of her words flooded social media, her voice used in montages, her quotes printed on fan pages. But while the world cried and applauded, Bai Lu quietly disappeared again after the broadcast. Days turned into weeks, and she remained silent. Rumors spread that she had moved abroad, that she was starting a foundation for struggling artists, that she had begun writing a book. None of it was confirmed until one night, her name trended again, this time not for controversy, but for hope. A fan spotted her at a small art school on the outskirts of town, teaching a group of young performers. No lights, no cameras, just Bai Lu smiling as she guided them through lines and emotions. Someone recorded a short clip, and when it hit the internet, it became one of the most beautiful things ever seen. The clip showed her standing in front of her students saying, "You don't have to be perfect to be remembered, you just have to be real." That single line became the most quoted sentence of the year, and her fans declared that her story wasn't one of quitting, but of rebirth. Months later, she wrote a letter to her supporters, confirming what many hoped. She had indeed left the industry to start a performing arts foundation for young talents who couldn't afford to chase their dreams. Her letter ended with the words, "I didn't walk away from my story, I just chose to write it differently." And with that, Bai Lu's legacy transformed forever. She was no longer just an actress. She became a symbol of strength, authenticity, and quiet courage. Her career pivot was not an ending, but a gentle return to herself, something the world rarely gets to witness. As time passed, every anniversary of her farewell interview trended online. Fans would post her quotes, her old scenes, and clips of her teaching with heartfelt captions. She had unknowingly created a movement that inspired thousands to rediscover who they truly were beneath the noise. And somewhere in that same coastal town, Bai Lu would often walk by the shore, her hair flowing with the wind, her heart light and free. For the first time in years, she didn't need applause to feel alive. She had peace, and that was more powerful than fame could ever be. Her final note, found years later in her personal journal, summed it all up in one line. "Some stories end when the lights go off, but mine began when I stopped performing." And that was how Bai Lu, the actress who once lived for the spotlight, finally became the woman who shone without it.